This is the walkthrough for the fluids lab. So before you start, just make sure that your force sensor is calibrated to the computer that you're using. So if you didn't use this computer with the previous lab, just make sure that you calibrate the force sensor on your iLab device to this computer so that you get accurate data. All right, so the first thing you're going to do is you're going to weigh the metal cube and the wood cube. All right, so that's pretty simple. You just are going to go over to your iLab software, click on the force sensor, you record, remember to re-zero your sensor, and then you'll just pick up the cube and hold it there on the hook, and that will give you the weight of the cube. Alright, and then you'll repeat that with the wooden cube. And then in your lab report, you're going to record those weights in row 1 of the table there. Okay, so the weight out of the water of each of those objects. Okay, then the next thing you're going to do is you're going to fill your overflow can. So your overflow can has a spout on it. So once the water reaches the spout, it'll start overflowing out of it. So that's why you have this little bucket catch. So you make sure that that's underneath the spout to catch the water. So you go ahead and fill that up, and then you'll let the water drain all the way out on its own. So it'll take about a minute to do that, depending on how much water you fill it up with. Okay, so I've let it completely drain on its own, so I'm going to empty this water out. And so what completely draining it does is gives you a nice level starting point. So you're also going to want to record the weight of the bucket that catches the water. Okay, so again, you'll just hold it from the force sensor and weigh that. So you're going to need that in a minute here. Now you're going to take your metal cube, hook it onto the force sensor, and lower it into the overflow can. Again, remembering to make sure that the bucket is under the spout to catch the water. So you just lower that in there, and the iLab device is just the right size so that it won't actually fall into the can. It'll just sit up there on the rim. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to measure the weight of the metal cube while it's submerged in the water. Okay? And then you'll put that in your report under row 2, the weight of the object in the water. Okay, so we'll completely allow that to finish draining. So now it's finished draining. So I'll pull the cube out, and now I'm going to weigh the bucket with the water in it. So there's a little hook on there I can put into the force sensor, right? And then we'll weigh that. So now remember that you're actually weighing here the bucket plus the water. So all we really care about is the weight of the water that was displaced. So we're going to need to subtract the weight of the bucket itself from that. Okay? So that weight we'll put in the table under row 3. So the weight of the fluid displaced is the buoyant force. Okay, and then you'll repeat that for the wood object. And just remember when you're done, these things can get rusty, so just wipe them off, dry them off quick, just so you don't have to deal with any rust later on. Okay, so the last thing I need to show you for this lab is in part 3 for atmospheric pressure. So if you're doing this at home, you need to find a building that has at least 5 different floors on it, because you're going to measure the atmospheric pressure on 5 different floors. So we'll click reset, and then under the sensor list, we'll click on barometer. And basically, you just click record. You don't have to calibrate anything for the barometer. I'll press stop, and so it measured the atmospheric pressure of the floor that I'm on now. So if I click and drag with the data tool, then I can get an average of the readings it was taking. And remember the mu up here tells me the average. So I'm about 101 kilopascals is the pressure of where I'm at right now. And that's it for Lab 4.